We will now call the last meeting for 2023 to order.
Councilmember Howe.
Present.
Councilmember Hyman.
Here.
Councilmember Jackson.
Here.
Councilmember Worth.
Here.
Councilmember Wright.
Here.
Vice Mayor Riffle.
Here.
Mayor Mathajek.
Here.
This evening we have our prayer and pledge by Councilmember Jackson.
Dear Heavenly Father, we pray as we come before you this evening that you will give us knowledge of your will for us and the power to carry that out. We pray that you will bless those under the sound of your voice this evening. And Lord, please bless those folks who will be out on the roads, that they will make it back and forth without incident, without accident, without hurt or without harm. Help us to make decisions, good decisions, for the city and for the people of the city of Clarksburg. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes.
This evening we have special recognitions for our Christmas light contest.
Before we present the gifts, I'd like to say this was Clarksburg's first annual Christmas light contest. It had a great launch. We appreciate everyone who entered or nominated a lighting display for the contest. The contest was organized by the city, and volunteer judges were composed of 9 Clarksburg residents representing different neighborhoods and coming from various local civic groups, as well as some city employees. The contest included 3 categories: classic, creative, and Griswold. So at this time, and I'd also like to thank Sam's Club for doing the donations of these gifts. So if I can have the residents of 1733 Fairmont Avenue. They won the Griswold Award, and they have not only decorated the front of the house, but they decorated the back. Terry, congratulations.
Thank you.
You get your choice, honey, any of the gifts. Ooh.
I gotta give credit where credit's due. I didn't decorate, my husband did. But
you get to do well. Just wrap that and give it to him for Christmas. Huh? Second, we have 1411 East Main Street with the Creative Award. Are those folks here? Congratulations. You're the one up on top of the hill at Broadway. I didn't see you from space. This guy's house, I mean, the roof was even lit up.
Yeah,
Congratulations. Your choice, sir.
Mayor, CKB called and wanted it to be turned a little bit. The planes were getting off.
We'll do it better next time. Thank you for competing. And 409 Spring Avenue, the Classic Award. Congratulations.
They do every holiday too. They do every holiday, classic, perfect. So I will say that.
Thank you all. We appreciate it.
Before we go on, Paul, could you get the 3 winners and a picture, please? Thank you.
We'll do that out in the hall.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, I do want you to be in the picture, please. Thank you. Hopefully they go right beside the nice Christmas tree that's decorated. I think that's where they're going, so that would be perfect. I heard your dad usually does a really good job of Christmas lights.
We have a competition.
The mayor would like to recognize his mayor's youth council.
Oh, yes, yes. We have 3 of the Mayor's Youth Council here. If you all will stand up and give your name and where you go to school, please.
I go to school at RCB. I'm Maddie Dunn. I go to school at RCB.
This is our Mayor's Youth Council. Or part of it. Thank you. That's it.
And they will be back at a future meeting to, for a special presentation. Approval of the minutes of the regular session of November 16, 2023.
All right, I move we approve the regular session minutes of November 16th, 2023.
We got a motion. Got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Approval of the minutes of the conference work session of November 30, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Approval of the regular session minutes, December 7, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Petitions, communications, and public hearings. I don't believe we have any this evening.
We're doing a good job.
Yay. City manager's report.
Thank you. So we'll start with the city parks. Maintenance is ongoing. They've done tree trimming and removal, and that's almost completed at the mini golf facility. They're still waiting for field turf repairs, looking at mid-January start. They purchased a new used mower to replace an older model. The Board of Commissioners agreed to purchase 2 more playgrounds for neighborhood parks, and there's some activities being scheduled at the amphitheater. Code enforcement has given out 22 permits with a total job cost of just over $720,000, with $8,600 in fees being collected. They've been working hard on different engineering projects, and there's been a number of code enforcement items that have been taken care of as well. The economic development, the Urban Renewal Authority has recommended to City Council proposed general development plan for tax map 28. Their preliminary annual reports for the Planning Commission, Urban Renewal Authority, and Land Use Agency have been drafted for the final 2023 reporting. Staff has identified upcoming tax sale properties, and 2 new downtown businesses have recently begun operations. Winston's Cafe in the Golf Building and BFF Bakery on 4th Street. Finance has no updates to report. The fire department has responded to 140 alarms during the month of December, which resulted in $35,000 fire loss. A breakdown of statistics, is below. The police department would like to remind citizens, with Christmas and New Year's approaching, vehicle traffic will increase, so please drive carefully and slowly and keep a safe following distance. Please keep your residents and vehicles locked up at all times during the holiday season. And if you do notice any suspicious activity, please call 911. Patrolman Jerem Morris will begin training at the WV State Police Academy on January 15th. Public Works has been keeping busy. They've cleaned ditches. They've secured vacant property. They're continued their renovations at City Hall. They've picked up 9,200 pounds of yard waste and processed that, and they have repaired traffic lights and answered after-hour pages. The Robinson Grand Performing Arts Center, they have a number of concerts and events happening along with private events. All of those are available on their website, which is www.therobinsongrand.com. And the wastewater treatment plant, so funding was approved for the replacement of the main raw water pump, and the skimmer arm and drive unit were repaired on the secondary clarifier. A risk management plan was submitted to the EPA, and they completed their last pre-treatment inspection and sampling last week. And as a reminder to the public, please do not flush baby wipes or flushable wipes down the drains. They do not dissolve and can cause blockages in the sewer line as well as damage to the pumps.
Unfinished business. Consideration of second final reading and public hearing of an ordinance of the City of Clarksburg to amend section 373.08 to permit police use of bicycles and on sidewalks. Notices appeared December 12th and December 19th in the Exponent Telegram.
We will now open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against may do so at this time. We will close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
New business, consideration of a resolution of City Council of the City of Clarksburg, West Virginia, authorizing the execution of a grant proposal through the Land and Water Conservation Fund and designating not more than $275,000 of ARPA funds for the proposed splash pad.
So moved.
Discussion.
Okay.
On this one, I appreciate there's been a motion in the second, but I was gonna recommend we table this item, but I'm not sure when this resolution is actually due to the LWCF. Is it?
It's on this agenda because the deadline is approaching. It was supposed to be on the agenda when a number of council members were actually at a conference, so we bumped it to be on this agenda. I think this is a great project for the city. I've always encouraged council, you have your water and your infrastructure and your roads you have to take care of as your responsibility of council, but you also have to focus on the other aspects of running a city. One of those is ensuring that you have amenities for children and for youth to create a thriving, vibrating city that people want to come to and raise their kids to and continue to grow your city. A splash pad is a great facility for families with kids. It's no cost to families to utilize, and it's good for a lot of ages from babies to teenagers. They can utilize that and be with their families. Grandparents can take them, parents, other siblings. It's just a really great facility for their kids. There's nothing in the surrounding towns that is close by that is anything like this, and I encourage council to move forward with this for the health and wellness of their city, and I think it's will be a great amenity for the families here in the town.
I couldn't agree more. I guess what I'd like to discuss is, I don't know if under the Land Water Conservation Fund grant, if you're awarded, if we can go ahead and decide to move the location once that's been awarded, because as I brought up in the last, or several work sessions ago, or a council meeting several months ago, I still think the better opportunity for us is really to put it in a low-income, underutilized area, and I'm still advocating for that. There's a master plan for that park to encompass a splash pad. So, I really do believe, even in the blueprint communities, when they became a blueprint community, that was one thing that was high on the list, and I think it's something that I've been advocating for several years as a board member down there, and I would still advocate for that as a council, that we should be trying to carry out master plans for these parks and things such as that to try to get some of these done. But again, I think the city's had a great working relationship with the park board, and Doug's done a tremendous job in his 6 months being there. I think we've been a great partner year after year, and I can see that continue, but I just don't feel, and not knowing where we're going to take the money from if granted for the match, I think that's something else to say. As you mentioned in your discussion, you're right. For citizens to be able to take an asset like this and utilize it, our citizens, it's kind of going against putting another fort. And I would advocate for the park board to put something together over there as a master plan and make more facilities over there sports oriented, and we could back that and kind of partner with that. But so I'm voting no for that reason.
Richard, I have a motion and a second, and then a table.
I didn't make a motion. I didn't make a
I'd
motion.
like to add some more.
Oh, I thought somebody made a motion.
And if I can address a couple of the points throughout, so Doug and I chatted about this quite a bit, where this would be the most advantageous for the families of Clarksburg, where the most traffic is, where the most population is that brings kids to, in the Clarksburg City Park just makes sense. You have so many other sports and activities that happen there, so when you have older kids on the soccer field or baseball, you have younger kids, they can go to the splash pad at the same time. When your younger kids are done, they're hot from playing sports, they can go cool off in the splash pad. When it comes to underserved communities or disenfranchised communities, we are doing work in other parks. We are doing some upgrades to Monticello Park actually right now. They are resurfacing asphalt. They are putting in some new playground equipment. We've pulled up the old, I I guess they'd be rail ties with rebar in them because it was a safety issue. So we're trying to focus on all the areas of the city. As you see in the my manager report, they're replacing 2 other parks in Clarksburg. So we are focusing everywhere. But when you're going to put in a large activity that costs this amount of funds, you want to make sure you're going to get the most use out of it. And Clarksburg City Parks makes the most sense, and that's the recommendation of the Parks Department as well.
Do you have a recommendation where the money's coming from, if approved?
Yeah, so it's a 50% grant match, so it's designated from ARPA funds. I had Kim confirm that it meets the regulations for ARPA funds in regards to matching those funds from the grant itself from the Land and Water Conservation, and it does match.
When is the deadline?
The deadline for,
The application process? There was talk about a deadline that we didn't get done because people
For the
were away.
resolution.
Brittany had told us it needs to be in by the end of the year.
Well, I was gonna add some comments about possibly tabling it as well. I have reservations about using the ARPA funds for something like this, although it seems to be okay from what we've been told. I also have concerns about putting in a Clarksburg City Park, mainly for the fact that, going back to these, the idea of disenfranchised communities, there's not very many people in Clarksburg who'll be able to walk and enjoy the splash pad, with the exception of Arbutus Park, maybe Heflin Heights and other communities that border Nutter Fort. My concern is we're improving this park, and that's a great thing, don't get me wrong, but I'd like to see it possibly go into a park that's within the confines of the city of Clarksburg, whether it's Staley Park or even Northview Park, Northview Athletic Club Park, somewhere where it can serve members of our community who don't have the ability to drive there. And we know we have a large population in our city who can't. And I think it would be best to, if we could, table this. Let's come back, maybe talk about it in a work session beginning of the year, if possible, and hash it out. I think there's better ideas here, and that's just my 2 bits.
Me personally, as someone who grew up down in the community, I would like to say that I don't feel that the splash pad is going to revitalize the community down there. There is a master plan. The master plan needs to be put into place, before we go putting a splash pad down there. That's not going to draw people back into the community. And I'm looking at, as much as I want to see things done in the community where I grew up, I want to make sure that we utilize those dollars in the best way possible. And out there at the Nutter Fort Park, whether we like it or not, it's the Clarksburg City Park. We have our name on it. It's the park, Clarksburg City Park. And, we have a lot of people coming through there. We have baseball tournaments. They have soccer tournaments. There's a lot of traffic in and out of there. And I think that will be the best utilization. When we talk about community, there's our whole community, and then there's the individual smaller communities. And I think that we need to look at the bigger picture right now. And I think the Clarksburg City Park would actually be the better fit for the Clarksburg City Park would be the better fit for the splash pad. If it's going to go into a park in downtown in Clarksburg area, then yeah, I would like to see it in Monticello. But for right now, I would say let's take this to Clarksburg City Park.
Maybe I could ask Doug, or Mayor, you could ask Doug to come forward if he has any more comments on.
Thank you. I don't have all the answers, nor do I claim to have them, but there's some relationships that you can add to that. I know we have no busing, we have no transportation through walking, but I'm sure we can make arrangements with Central Bus, have them come in, work up an agreement with them that could be a stop. Our goal here at your guys' park, at the CCP, is to make it a destination station. Have it to where, just like was mentioned by the city manager, that you can, the older kids are playing baseball, the younger kids, they're hot, what are they going to do? Moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas can take them over to the splash pad, let them go shoot a little basketball, let them play on the playground, do all the different things that parks are what they're made for. Kick the soccer ball around while all the other activities are going. I feel personally, just in my short time being here, that the VA and the CCP is definitely 2 of the the attractants that people from Morgantown, Fairmont, Grafton, Lewis County, all these different areas that want to come up here, whether it be for our entertainment, whether it be for the splash pad or the splash zone at the VA. But having a splash pad right here, I think it's just going to solidify that even more, as when you're driving through whatever route you take, from 50 to 79 or 19 or 20, whatever route you're coming through, you're going to pass that area, and you're probably going to make a stop. And yes, we are fairly close to Arbutus Park. We're just up the way from Winding Way. It's not Clarksburg, but that little sovereign area of the 38 acres that we have is Clarksburg. So, my belief is that I feel that, for the advantage is for the kids. I've always been about the kids. When I interviewed, everything I said was about the kids. Having a splash pad there, think about all the field days that are going to happen from April through the end of school. With Nutter Ford School, with all the Clarksburg schools, even with high schools. It'd be a great place for senior skip day when these kids are going to skip out to go and go ahead and go grab some pizzas. Not saying you should do that, all right?
Tell them Doug Comer told you to do that.
I'll buy the pizzas, okay? So anyway, I want these kids all come here, no matter what your ages are, whether you're wearing diapers or whether you're about ready to graduate or even in college. It's a great meeting place. Grab some food, bring it down this way, enjoy the parks, and we got plenty of shelters there. We got plenty of activities for these people to do. To have a splash pad there, I can't see it being nothing but a positive thing, not necessarily just for the city of Clarksburg, for Nutter Fort, for Stonewood, the entire county itself. I think there'll be a lot of counties surrounding us. They're going to be a lot green-eyed after this project will be taken care of. That's all I got. Thanks.
The cost of this is a 50% match, correct? Other locations, I would see that the price would probably be greater. Maybe the infrastructure is already there at the park, and that may bring the cost down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I share everybody's opinion. One thing I've even said is, even when people go there, I like for them to leave right away and maybe get gas at Clarksburg gas station to where taxis would come back. Now, we won't get that there. That is one thing that I'm not hugely in favor of. But the people from around that are not from this area, the people from Elkins or somewhere else, they call Nutter Fort, they still call it Clarksburg. It's still Clarksburg. So the perception to the people around it is Clarksburg is still, it'll be our park. So it'll be a positive for our city, in the surrounding region and throughout the state. So I see that as a positive. And the cost is, I think because infrastructure is already there, it would be a lot much lower than it would be other places.
I'd like to say something. I think the Clarksburg City Park we have down in Nutter Fort, it's an amazing park. It's got a beautiful, beautiful baseball field, great amenities, you name it. This is going to be almost a $600,000 project altogether, though, and I have two hang-ups with it. And my two hang-ups is I don't know if I really want to vote to spend $275,000 of ARPA funds to something that we should be really we're always just one sinkhole away that's costing us $100,000, $200,000, or a sewer project, or those main infrastructure things that that affect 15,000 people in our community. So I'm kind of hung up about that. The other thing I'm hung up about with this is that what about some of those kids that from Nutter Fort, Staley, whatever, that how they're going to be able to get to to Nutter Fort, to this thing, and like Martin said, there's already been a blueprint community plan down in Monticello, with I think that was with I forget who did the blueprint community. I forget who it was, but there's already a plan, for a blueprint community down there, and this could be a good added feature for that. That's if it's you know, if it's logistically possible. You know, I want a splash pad here, but I want to make sure that, you know, when I look someone from Clarksburg in the eye and I say, we spent $600,000 on this, I want to make sure that it's going to be in Clarksburg and they're going to get the most, that Clarksburg residents are going to get the most bang for their buck, not Nutter Fort residents. That's just my opinion. I know, you know, the Nutter Fort Park is a Clarksburg park, and that's, you know, and that's great. But for something of this magnitude here, you know, I think it should be in Clarksburg. That's just my opinion,
So to address this can come from general funds. We can make an amendment from that. I've checked with Kim before. There's no reason to, if that's a hang-up, we can make an amendment right now that comes from general fund. She's already verified that. I did my due diligence on that.
Well, if that's the case, then we have to talk about that during budget time. You know, because there's other things in the budget that are pretty pressing too that we need to address.
Right, but you don't want, as a council, when there's grant funds available, and this is something we've talked about ad nauseum, you don't want to give up grant funding when it's available for something like this. My other comment would be, you have a director of the Parks Board. If their recommendation is it needs to go in Clarksburg City Park, you need to take heed to what your experts who you've hired are telling you it's the best place to be. Because if you are in the situation where you don't have access to transportation, a vehicle, and you live on one end of Clarksburg and this is in the other end, you're in the same situation.
It's a lot closer to Clarksburg though than what it would be to walk over 98 to Nutter Fort.
Well, it's pretty big. Like if you're on literally the opposite end of the city to Nutter Fort, like if that's right next to Broad Oaks where I was, the other end of the city is pretty far. If you don't have a vehicle, whether it was in Broad Oaks or whether it was in Nutter Fort just down the road, you're gonna have the same amount of trouble getting there.
But I think it's the walkability. You know, you're gonna walk on the State Highway 98, State Route 20, I mean, versus you're gonna walk on Main Street, which is, you know, the walkability of it is much safer and.
No matter where you put it in the city, someone's gonna have to cross the interstate to get to it. Because it's gonna be on one side or the other. And I'm going to encourage, first of all, Monticello Park is not the right place to put this. When you have a plan where you have to bring in hundreds and hundreds of tons of dirt, you're gonna delay the project and you're gonna at least double the price of the project, if not more. It is not the right place when the grant funding is available now.
Has other grant funds been explored?
Yes, I went through and I asked her to look for grant funding for a splash pad. I talked to 2 senators about it as well, and this is the grant fund that's available that fits the project. And I'm really pushing for this with council because I agree there needs to be robust discussion, but sometimes you need you guys to move forward, to move the city forward. Kids need this amenity. It's really that simple. And if you're not comfortable with the ARPA funds, and when the grant was submitted through Brittany, it was, all we had to identify was we had it in an account. It wasn't identified where it was coming from. So that's not an issue with the grant. But to delay approving this grant is, in my opinion, not the best decision for the kids of Clarksburg and the surrounding communities. This council needs to move things forward to provide these amenities for the citizens of the city.
Yeah, I kind of feel like if we just wait for everything to fall perfectly in place, the funds, the location, I just feel like it'll never happen, to be honest, because it's just hard to get this many people to completely agree on every detail of it. I think some progress is better than none, even if it's not completely perfect for every single citizen.
Just for the record, I'm more opposed if we use general fund money, because I think our general fund, as I mentioned before, needs a lot of work on it, and I don't see room of $275,000 coming out of general fund whatsoever. And I'm totally 100% opposed to taking any sales and use tax to fund this as well.
Jerry, you got anything? Well, I'd like to put my 2 cents in. A, I like the idea of splash pad. B, I've got to agree with Wayne, about, we may need, you never know if an emergency's coming up. C, I don't like the location at the city park. I think it should go to the Veterans Park. The pool doesn't open until 11, correct? If that splash pad's at the VA park and somebody goes out there at 9, they've got something to do for 2 hours before the gates open. So, no, I don't like the city park idea. I just think that, I agree with some of the other comments, Wayne, Will, Martin.
Can I ask Doug a question?
Can I finish first?
Yeah.
That it should be in the city of Clarksburg. If we're going to invest this kind of money, I believe it should be in the city of Clarksburg, and I think the VA park is the place for it.
Can you ask Doug if we can change the location?
You can ask him.
Is the location, can it be changed or amended
To the VA,
to another location?
I mean,
I don't think the
with
grant is,
respect, I don't feel like having it at the VA would be beneficial.
That wasn't the question, Doug.
the
Can
the
it be
question,
changed?
yeah, the question is with the grant. My understanding is the location can be amended.
I don't know that answer, but I can.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, regardless of the deadline, I'd like to, if possible, move to table this, and we'll talk about it at the beginning of the year.
If the deadline is at the end of the year, what?
Well, I mean, maybe we can find up another solution for it.
Well,
I mean,
I'd go along with tabling it for that reason. And then if we need to have a special meeting, have a special meeting to act upon it. But I would just suggest calling John McGarity at Land Water Conservation Fund and ask if it's approved by council and we're awarded that, can that money be used at another location? And then at that point, it still might be Clarksburg City Park. But I think, that opens up the discussion to, do we want to attempt to do it anywhere else or not?
The city manager just said that, what did you say now? The resolution does not
Yeah,
have a
our
location.
resolution does not have a location attached to it.
The grant does.
Does the grant have the location attached to it? Yeah.
I can find it out.
is it possible we can revisit it next week after Christmas? And if we absolutely have to push it through, before the end of the year, we can, and we can vote and see how it shakes out.
We could call for a special meeting.
Well, I think because it's been motioned, and seconded, it has to come to a vote. Is that?
No, you can do a
No.
motion to table.
Motion to table?
But once the motion to table is made, there's no discussion after the table.
Even the next meeting?
No, this one.
Okay.
So we had a motion to table.
No,
No.
no, we're still a motion to second on the measure. I'll make a motion to table.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Martin Howe,
Yeah.
Will Hyman,
Yes, table.
Mark Jackson,
No.
Wayne Worth,
Yes.
Hattie Wright,
No.
Vice Mayor Riffle,
Yes.
Mayor Malvin.
Yes.
Motion tabled.
So, somebody make some calls to the land and
I will follow up with the grant writer.
follow up with the grant writer and see if we can, if the location can be moved, and if it can be, then we'll call for a special meeting before the end of the year.
Consideration of a resolution to approve revision to the city budget for fiscal year 2023-2024.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. So I have several questions. So starting on the narrative, and economic development, the facade grant line increased to 125. To me, I think, if we're trying to save money in the budget, I don't know if that is, if it's a good opportunity to do that or not, but You know, my issue is with the URA and the way they go about implementing and approving the grants. I don't think they follow their own guidelines of how they are when people submit those applications. I just don't feel they follow that to the T, how it's supposed to be followed. But and I think Councilman Jackson had mentioned at a meeting at one time that maybe we should look at reducing those dollar amounts or the percentages of it.
And we did that.
Did we do that? Okay. So I think that's something we just need to really look at, and also, that's just one of my points there. So the 125,
Do you have a suggested number? It's at 70 right now.
well, did we exhausted the 70?
Exhausted the 70, and we have 3 outstanding applications, so they need about another 20,000 to cover that.
I mean, is there any, I mean, typically when you're out, you're out. When you come back next year and ask again, I mean, that's just one of the items. I just wanted to bring it to the attention of council where I was at on that. But I don't have a recommendation where, because I
Can
would.
I clarify that too? There's actually 2 more line items under the URA, so what they're asking for is to take it from another line item already in the budget and move it to the facade line.
Okay,
So they're not asking for new money from anywhere,
right.
just
Okay.
for clarification, so council knows that.
And then, under code enforcement, I'm still not in favor of hiring a full-time city engineer. I do not think you're gonna save any more money on that at a base salary of 105. Granted, you're splitting it between 50% sanitary board, 50% general fund, but typically an engineer is still gonna need other support of other engineers, specialized engineers for a lot of things that we're gonna come across. For that dollar amount. So I just don't think a full-time engineer is gonna save the city any more money on that. Just a
So
comment.
through the mayor, my understanding was council wanted a full-time engineer. That's something that council had discussed previously. I thought that was,
You mean the last council?
yeah,
Okay.
even for the last few months, it's been brought up. And I believe it's, Richard, if I can confirm, is it in the charter, the city engineer?
There's a city engineer in the charter, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, doesn't say you have to have a full-time engineer. You have an engineer now that's running part-time, fulfills the charter, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Under personnel, it says increase to 2,500 for the wellness program. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm assuming that's for gym memberships and things such as that. Again, I'm just opposed to paying for memberships outside of the city. I think we should support city businesses.
We only do. We've changed our policy that they have to be within the city boundaries
Okay.
only, but we've opened it up to any gym that's in the city. We thought it could only be either the YMCA. If it's any additional ones beside that, then it has to be open to everybody, and that's what it is now,
Within the city.
within the city.
Under the landfill, the LCAP has not been completed, right? The project itself? I don't believe so. It never has, okay. Do you know if there's a timeline on that?
I'm sorry, I
Still not?
I can get you that information.
That's a DEP, it's the last on the list. All right, then this, on page 3 of, under the attachment, who is this person here? I don't know if it's his name, but is that an employee? I mean, NK? Well, I see we're giving an increase, which I don't mind about increases and things like that. That's 100% under your purview, but I take it to heart when I do see decreases in people's salaries. I'll just leave it at that. but I don't think that's necessarily a great thing to do for morale, and, I would advocate that 4,600 be put back to the positive. And then police department, how many current budget officers do we have now?
Budgeted 45,
44.
44.
Budgeted.
Yes, they're budgeted.
Where was the 46,000 you said?
Or 4,600?
4,600.
600, oh, okay.
Where was that at?
That was on the attachment.
Oh, okay.
All right. So on the actual budget pages that you provided, if anybody else has anything, by all means, don't let me dominate from me.
Yeah, I have some questions as well.
Oh, can I, maybe we'll finish with
Yeah.
Counselor Howell, and then you can move on to
Yeah.
something.
On the budget itself, page 3, Ken, does the cable TV franchise fee, it says Spectrum, and I know it's probably more than that. So CityNet and everybody pays as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Page 5. All right, so I brought this up before. Again, it hasn't changed, but I just want to bring it to council's attention because I'll be looking at this going forward every time. Is the contribution from sales and use tax fund, $3 million. And again, I want to advocate loudly, over and over and over again, that this has to be reduced going into the next budget year. Granted, I know it's not going to go back to where it needs to be, but I think we need to make the strong effort to get it to where it needs to be. So it's just not filling a gap within the budget. Page 6. Under miscellaneous revenues, Kim, the Intellos fee. Has that agreement expired with them? That used to be per linear foot that they would pay us for any fiber back when that was put in place?
Intellos? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I will
there's
double
an agreement in place. I can't remember what it was per linear foot. I think it was a quarter or 50 cents per linear foot. Any fiber they laid throughout the city, it was ongoing, it was perpetual, that they'd pay that fee. But I don't know I don't know if they're paying anymore or not, but if you could look into that, because that's another source of revenue. Page 8. What are the, and this, again, I wasn't here when the budget was approved, so this is a general question. Under capital outlay, what is the mobile electronic display boards?
Those, I believe they're kind of like those big traffic signs. Mark,
Yeah.
maybe you can help me with that one because,
It's just the traffic control, see the Department of Highways, you can program
yeah.
with arrows, messages for like Robinson Grant or special events. For traffic, if we have an emergency situation, you can put them there.
Well, I was wondering if it was under economic development, that's what threw me off. I was trying to think what,
Yeah, but I believe they were gonna purchase 2 of them, and I think they knocked it down to 1. But basically, it was going to be for use on special events, like during Italian Heritage Festival, Robinson Grant,
okay,
point people to parking or
appreciate it. All right, Page 13. So legal services, on that one, I thought, maybe I misunderstood somebody, but I thought somebody said that was budgeted, that position was budgeted.
No, it was not. We had to do the revision for it because it wasn't completely decided, I don't believe at budget time, that it was going to be a full-time position. So we had only budgeted the $60,000 for legal fees for the city attorney on page 14.
But that was contractual, correct?
Correct.
So did council prior to July 1 set the salary under the salary and wages schedule?
I will have to double check. I feel like they did, but I can't remember.
If they did, it probably shouldn't have been in that budget. But if not, I don't think it was properly done. Page 15, Kim, the demo loan, number 2 for MVB, is that, how many more years is on that one?
Just one.
This last year?
24,
24, okay, 24, 25 fiscal year?
yes.
Okay. Same amount? Is that-
Yes.
Okay. Page 16, Annette, I'm so confused on how we're doing elections now, and we still don't have an agreement in place, and if the county doesn't agree, which is why I voted no last time, is because we're still gonna be running our own election, which would not be a cost savings to the city. Right.
They voted yes.
Did they vote yes?
On
Okay.
Wednesday.
Do we know what we're charged?
It'll be half of the polling precincts that are in the city will pay half of that. We'll pay half of the poll worker salaries that are in the city. And we have to pay for our own, like, ballot, as far as doing our own ballot, but it'll be on with theirs, but we have to pay for any expenses associated with that.
Okay. So we'll get an updated number again once we get to that point in time. Okay. All right, page 19, the debt service for this building, one more year?
I believe so.
All right. Again, just trying to plead my case to council is that, you know, again, when that goes off the books, that's $250,000. I think we need to reduce this budget by $250 and put it back to where the sales and use tax is. So, I mean, because again, I think we're still taking too much money from the sales and use tax, per, I guess, the gentleman's agreement when it was passed, but, you know, so I still think we need to try to find a way to reduce it. So, you know, going into next year or year after, I'd highly recommend that come off and go back into the sales and use tax fund.
Martin, could you just explain to us, like, what the sales and use tax should be used for? Is police and fire pensions in that?
Well, police and fire pension was and is, but then they just, I don't know what year it was, but you went to a different pension fund, which was, you know, appropriate, but the money was $500,000 for police, $500,000 for fire, to fund the unfunded liability going forward. And this is my own assumption, but once that was done and that pension was transferred, the money no longer stayed there. The money was utilized for other activities in the general fund. So if you had $1 million coming out of the sales and use tax fund every year for the fire and police pensions, and then it's no longer there, that million should have kept building every year thereafter in the sales and use tax fund for economic development and the other uses. So, you know, in infrastructure and things such as that. So when it's going back in the general fund, all we're doing is subsidizing a shortfall that we have in the general fund. So I guess my issue is we're filling the gap, but we're not fixing the problem that we have in the general fund. So as I'm going through this revision, I'm trying to find where we can reduce the amount of money coming out of the sales and use tax to put back. Albeit, it's not all gonna be this year or next year, but I think as council, as a body budgeting, we need to start looking and say, how do we fix what was wrong?
And so within those, like, if we do, say after we pay off this building, we have $250,000, we put it back into the 1%. That, you know, if there are other needs in this budget that fall within the category of the 1%, that could be filled in through the 1% into that line item, right?
It would be taken directly out of the 1%, not back.
Okay.
You wouldn't feed the general fund any more money.
Okay, all right.
And I think that's what, and that might have been confusion because, again, you know, I'm not blaming anybody on this council, but I think when no one understood it in 2019 or 20, all they wanted to do was projects, but they didn't do it in the confines of how it was laid out to do.
Okay.
So those wrongs should be righted. because, you know, we have levy funds, we have coal severance tax fund, I mean, we have all the funds, which we're not looking at those today, but we just need to make sure that we utilize the money as it's laid out to be. And that's been my major concern, and honestly, this is the only reason why I really ran for council, was the budget. And the sales and use tax, that's near and dear to me, and I can see where we're headed. If we don't get it fixed, we're gonna have another issue on our hands 10 years down the road. But that council's going to come up with another revenue stream that's gonna be back on the citizens, and it's probably not the best.
It makes sense.
Maybe lose my spot.
Sorry.
You won the page, you won
Thank you
19.
for clarifying.
Um,
I think you're on page 19.
yeah, I'm okay. 22. Firefighters, how many we have budgeted now?
43, 45? 45, I'm sorry, I don't have those numbers with me and I can't remember.
No comment. Bear with me. And then. All right, I'll go ahead and stop for now.
Patty, you have?
Yeah, I had some questions more so on the revisions, just to like better understand some of the items. First one was, what are the adjusted various insurance benefits? What exactly does that mean?
If there, excuse me, if there's a salary change or something, or if, like, we'll use council, for example, when the mayor changed, this mayor may have had different insurance benefits than the past mayor, so I had to change those.
Okay.
So anytime an insurance class changes, it's that kind of thing. It's
Okay.
usually the insurance, the health or the dental and
The
vision
health
that
and-
changes.
okay. All right, under the finance department, what was the line item for, account investigator? Is that something that we need?
That was a position that we had kind of moved, we had an account investigator and a tax collector, and we had kind of moved it into one position.
Okay.
So, and actually that person has just resigned, so we're looking to fill that position again, but we think that we can handle that with one position, but
Okay.
we're gonna try it out for this year.
Okay. The next is under the fire department revisions. I see a significant reduction with changes with promotions. What, can you explain that?
Okay, I believe we had a couple of people, at least when Steve retired, we had, he may have been making more than others, so that went
Okay.
down. And then we did have some increases when others were promoted.
Promoted up,
So,
okay.
yeah.
So the net of that was about 151, okay. And then this kind of goes to what Councilman Howe was saying under Parks and Rec as well. Corrections to various salaries. Does that mean we're reducing salaries?
I believe we had some others retire that were making
Higher,
increased
same thing,
salary.
same story, okay. And then lastly, this is more of a general question based on the actual budget itself. I saw we had $500 allotted for interest. What type of accounts are we having our funds in? Because just my work in finance, I know you can get a lot better interest than that. so-
Right, right. And the interest has greatly increased now.
Okay.
We had a change with our bank
Okay.
a few months ago where the interest rates did go up, but we just have interest-bearing checking accounts
Okay.
for the majority.
Does it make sense to move anything into a high-yield savings account?
We
If
have to
it's
keep it kind of liquid,
Liquid, yeah.
most of ours, so,
Well, savings accounts are still liquid, so.
right, right.
As you know. So that would just be maybe something to look into,
Mhm.
because if you can get 3, 4, or 5%, why not?
Right.
It's just more added benefit. So that was just more of a general question.
Thank you.
And who do we bank with?
We're with MVB.
MVB? Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I have.
Anybody else? Okay, we had a motion,
Oh, I do, I'm sorry. Sorry, should have got your motion. Under city manager, what are we auctioning? It says auction items from the Logan building.
So we've gone through and pulled out unused pieces of furniture and moved them all to the basement. They've now been moved to the Logan building and they're being put it up for auction. That whatever revenues made from the auction will offset that line item.
This isn't current furniture that was in the building that was just paid off, right? It's not those
No.
mahogany desks and
No.
No.
not those, not conference room tables, not, none of that.
Not that I know of.
We've been talking about this for a while, it's before Tiffany got here, we've been talking about all the extra stuff at the Logan building. I mean,
The
there's so much
basement
stuff.
was very full when I got here, and then there's been a few more pieces that have been moved down into the basement to get to auction off.
I'm good with that, as long as it's not the furniture. Any items from the furniture we just paid off, because I think that furniture is in still great shape and should not be provided for a high discount of $1, because it's good furniture, heavy duty. Okay, so what was the 9,500 we're offsetting then on that?
I'm sorry.
Is there something coming up, under city manager, office supplies, furniture?
What page?
just right
That
here.
was on the, summary.
Oh, okay.
Is that 95 been expended already? I guess that's what I'm asking.
I think a portion of it has been. I think it's for current improvements, I believe, in new furniture.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you. Go ahead and get the motions up.
Did we have a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
No,
All opposed?
no,
Martin Howe,
no.
Will Hyman,
Aye.
Mark Jackson,
Aye.
Wayne Work,
Aye.
Patty Wright. Vice Mayor Griffin,
Alright.
Mayor Malcolm.
Aye.
Consideration of appointment to the Urban Renewal Authority.
Mr. Mayor, I move we appoint Amy Wilson Strange to the URA.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Discussion. Again, this one, I think Amy Strange does very good as on the URA. I'm not sure how long she's been on there. I don't have any concerns with her, don't have any concerns with the reappointment of her. But the only thing I would ask is that, can we get the actual members of the URA, who they all are, and when they were appointed by council?
Yeah, we can send that over.
Because I'm very nervous. Oh, good. If I can get that, that's all I need.
No worries. I'll get that over.
Is that it? Any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Council comments?
No, I'm not, you know what, Will? Miss Wright. How's that?
Thanks everyone for being here tonight. Thank you, Kim, for answering my questions I had there on the budget revisions. I appreciate that. It's nice to see some of the fire department here tonight, so thanks for coming. And I hope everyone has a great holiday and prosperous new year and enjoy time with friends and family. So thank you all.
Mark? Mr. Jackson, sorry?
I would just like to thank everyone for coming into the meeting. You know, it's important that we have, the citizens come in and, visit us with our meetings. I'm glad to see our fire department here, our police chief, everyone. But, as we head into this holiday season, I would just like to say, I hope everyone has a safe and blessed holiday.
Mr. Howe?
Yeah, thank you again for the budget revision. Thanks for answering the questions. I know sometimes I can be inquisitive or whatever word you might want to use. But again, I think, you know, as we're moving into the next fiscal year, you know, I think, please sharpen your pencils in the budget meetings prior to coming here, because I can tell you, we're going to go through it, hopefully we're going to go through it with a fine tooth comb. You know, I like to have, you know, a good budget work session going forward on the budget when we get to that point. Again, I've advocated for a balanced budget, one that makes sense, you know, and that's your plan moving forward for the next year, is how that budget is approved. And again, this is the most important thing this council does up here is approve, discuss and approve a budget. So I want to make sure we're on the same page going through that. So I appreciate you guys' time on that. Congratulate Chief McIntyre for being here tonight, and congratulations on the promotion. Got to roll up his sleeves. Hope you have long sleeves on. But roll them up and get to work. So wish you much luck, and thanks for firemen coming out. Doug, appreciate you coming out. You know, I'm always here. We're here. Support the park board any way we can. I want to continue to do that. We've had a great relationship and want to keep that relationship. So keep bringing projects to us. You'll get them through. Opioid settlement. So I see there's a meeting in Morgantown, January 25th. Do we have anybody going to the opioid meeting on the 25th?
No, but we are having a representative come January 4th to the city regarding the opioid funding. The first installment is coming forth and being presented to council.
Okay. All right. And again, you know, the opioid, I think we still need to look outside the box on that too, to see how we can get those funds best bang for the buck. I think Councilman Jackson and some others have you know, spoke about that as well, and you know, I appreciate that. I think we need to look at other municipalities and see if there's any synergy there to where we can jointly go in together and utilize that to make that money go further and hopefully make more of an impact where we can. But other than that, thanks for coming out. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, if we don't have another special meeting. That's it.
Colleen, this is a coin toss here. Wayne or Will? Wayne or Will? Will.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd also like to thank our new fire chief, Mr. McIntyre, and all the other new promotions there at the fire department. Unfortunately, I could not make the event. I really wanted to, but I could not make it. The Christmas lights contest was interesting. I was one of the judges, and you know, I've got some fond memories of being a child, and that was like a family thing for us. We would go out and cruise, look at Christmas lights, and it's actually one of the earliest memories I have as a child. So it was something we still do in my family. So when I was selected to be one of the judges, I was like a kid in a candy store. It was really great cruising the community, me and my wife and daughter, and my wife said it reminded her of being on the campaign trail, visiting addresses around the city, and you know, of course, now we get to see it all decked out. It was really amazing. There was lots of light displays that did not participate, and I know it was kind of short notice, and I'd like to see that change next year, because there was a lot of really great displays, and it was unfortunate, because it's like you go to one, literally like two houses next would be this amazing display. It's like, oh man, why aren't they in it? But you know, growing pains. We'll figure it out, and I'm sure we'll have another great one next year. You know, going to the splash pad. You know, it's unfortunate that we had to have this discussion right tonight. It would have been great to have this hashed out a little bit earlier, because everybody has their heart in the right place. We want to see it. Everybody has questions about how we're going to pay for it, where it's going to go, and you know, maybe if we just had a little bit more time, we could have taken care of that. But you know, I think things like that can wait. We can revisit it, and we'll find a good spot for it, wherever it may be. I think we'll figure it out, and it'll be a great asset to the community. But you know, I personally take issue with the fact that we keep putting these resources in other communities. You know, and you know, I think we're all Clarksburg first here. And, you know, don't get me wrong, it's a Clarksburg City Park. I think we hashed that out enough tonight, but, you know, it needs to benefit our communities. And being in Clarksburg City Park, it really doesn't. I'm sorry, but that's just my take. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Maybe we'll do it again before the new year, and if not, we'll do it afterwards, and hopefully we'll have a great 2024. And I don't want to end it on a negative note, but you know, I like Martin's detailed overview of, you know, going through the budget. You know, I think we all know that the city continues to operate on a budget that continues to expand and continues to grow. And, you know, it's kind of hard to justify that when you see the city population decreasing. Obviously, inflation plays a part in that. But you know, I'd like to see it be ground, you know, down to earth, bring it back a little bit, rein it in, and you know, let's not get a council 10 years in trouble like Martin suggested. I don't want to see that happen either. I think we've dealt with enough trouble here. Let's not pass it on. Let's not pass it on down to anybody else. So let me go back to wishing everybody a Merry Christmas. I know that I didn't want to end on that. So you know, have a Happy New Year, and we'll do it again next year. Thanks.
Lane?
Well, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out too and joining us this evening. And we didn't have any petitions, so that, like Jerry said, maybe that was a good thing. So, but I do like the, you know, I just want to say I really appreciate, you know, Councilman Howell going through this budget. And in the last couple of years going through these budgets, first year I didn't know anything about it. Second year, I really got to know it pretty well. And in the third year, I'm starting to learn a lot more. But to take what Councilman Howell suggested about the 1% sales tax and putting that in a, you know, into a category, I think that's very important, because if you designate funds that are supposed to be specific to, you know, certain things, infrastructure, police and fire, pensions, economic development, whatever, then we need to know where those funds are going, you know, instead of just clumping it all together into something and not knowing where it's going, and then 10 years down the road when we can't fund something, but we have a 1% sales tax supposed to be funding other things, but it's funding things that it shouldn't be funding, then we're in trouble. The other thing, you know, I like to talk about too in regards to the budget, because we're going to be having work sessions, budget sessions and stuff, probably starting in late January, February, is that, you know, we really have to look where our priorities are, you know, and the thing is, you know, my priorities always have been, you know, our public safety, number one, you know, and making sure that our, you know, our police department is running well, and our fire department's running well. Also, our infrastructure, that's very important too. We have to be really proactive on those things too, because, you know, if you can't get your infrastructure, you know, if everything's breaking down on you and you're just bleeding money out with that, and you're investing it in other places, then you really don't have a city. If you don't have water, you don't have sewage. You don't have a city if you can't, you know, if you can't respond to a fire and, you know, in a few minutes have enough firefighters. You can't, you know, you can't have a city if you only have, if your numbers of your police department are going down. You know, we really have to look at those priorities that affect 15,000 people that live here, and those are the things. Yes, we want to look at economic development. We want to look at quality of life. Those things are very important too. And we have a very robust city park system, probably one of the best in the state. And I've traveled around the state. We probably have more parks than any municipality in the state. So, I mean, I think, you know, and we have the Robinson Grant, which is running well. So we have a lot of quality of life things, but we have to make sure we reel in to what's really important in those priorities at the end of the day. The other thing that on more of a positive note, I did see here on the city manager's report, which is always a bright spot, because you get to know how the city is running, is that staff are identifying, you know, upcoming tax sale property priorities to establish potential property clusters for allowing new housing development opportunities. That's very important, especially for a city, where we're bleeding population. But then again, it's hard to bring more people in because we just don't have the housing. That's why we decided that we were gonna pass a land bank, because, having a land bank, we're able to buy, these properties at tax sale or right of first refusal if they weren't bought at tax sale and they're on the auditor's list. And then we're able to, then get developers to redevelop some of these properties into planned unit developments, into more residential areas, so we have more residents here. Because at the end of the day, when we have more residents here, then, we have more revenues and municipal fees, we have more, more activity in our neighborhoods and in our downtowns, and that's just gonna spawn more business. So that was good to see there. And also, I always want to thank the Public Works. I mean, they really dominate, a whole page, here of this, here, within the city manager's report. And that's why investing in infrastructure is so important, investing in these guys too. So, and of course, the Robinson Grant, although they have their next year's schedule out, I'm going to tell you the last city manager's report for the whole month of December, just about, they probably had an event just about every day. The staff there and the volunteers and the part-time staff are just amazing. And you see those Batman lights going around. I mean, they're going around every night. There's something going on, at the Robinson Grant. And that's quality of life. That's a quality of life that we look for. And finally, I really want to thank our mayor's youth council for sitting through this. I think there's, for me, when I see our youth here, I'm thinking, one of these days you're going to be up here in this seat. That's if our state can retain you, and that way you don't move anywhere else. But and I just hope that you continue to work with the mayor's youth council, and you continue to grow and learn about government and stuff, and be inspired to get involved, because no one likes to hear the P word, politics. But you know what? It's necessary. And one of these days, I'm 45 years old. 15 years from now, I'm going to be 60, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep doing this. But hopefully, you all can inspire your friends to get more involved in government too. That way, one day, I could vote for one of you all. So thank you for being involved in this, and try to get as more people as you can. And finally, I want to congratulate our new Chief McIntyre. Yes, I don't think you have to roll up your sleeves, because your sleeves are already short. But you definitely have a great team around you, and you've had 30 years on the force here, so you know all these guys, and really want to thank the fire department too. I went to your Christmas party. That was really nice, and all the things that you do in our community. And I can still remember being in the Lions Club, and we were trying to wash the Addison Lions Club's wall there, and we just couldn't reach high enough or spray it down, and we called you, and one of my favorite lieutenants, Brady, came down in the fire truck and hosed it off for us. And those are the things, you guys just go the extra mile, and we really appreciate it. So that's all I got. Thanks. Merry Christmas, everybody. Yep.
Positive?
Yeah, that's all I got. My pipes won't go anymore. So.
Vice Mayor?
I forgot what I was going to say. Waited too long. Congratulations, Chief McIntyre. Watch out for the guy you're sitting next to. I wouldn't trust him at all. I don't know how Scrooge got a part of the Christmas light contest down there. He's all negative about everything, but now he's judging Christmas lights. I don't know how that happened. That's
Like Christmas lights connoisseur.
Yeah. Did you put lights up at your house?
Second.
Did your lights up at your house?
Oh yeah.
How many?
Not very many.
Okay.
I don't overdo it. I'm low key.
It's been a hell of a year. On council, welcome the new council members. Hattie and Mark. Martin's got way too long of too many things to say on there, so we'd already been out here for waiting for Martin here. Okay. I will bring several pencils for the budget session. I will be looking forward to that. But I want to welcome the council members, and it's been a rough year, and next year has to be better. Can't be worse. And so I think we've made some good changes in the city, and I think we're moving in the right direction. I'm looking forward to it. That's about it.
Thank you. My turn. Kim, thank you for the budget revision, and we're gonna roll our sleeves up. Ladies, Mayor's Youth Council, thank you. Fire Department, Chief McIntyre, congratulations. You guys do a great job. I mean, it's just, you know, we can't say enough about what you guys do. Doug, thank you for coming, sir. Dixon Pruitt, how are you, sir? Welcome. Hope you come to more meetings. I've been in office 6 months, and I told the city manager and the finance director, starting the new year, we're gonna roll up our sleeves and we're gonna get the business here. I've got my feet wet now. And in setting goals for 2024, one of our goals and my goals is to bring all the city businesses into compliance with our tax ordinances. We want to remind everyone that most businesses operating in the city must have both the state and city business license. Businesses businesses can get their license by contacting the finance department or visiting the city's website. The finance department will be reaching out to businesses not in compliance to assist them in resolving the issue. Any outstanding invoices and balances need to be addressed and settled immediately. As I always say, if you see something, say something. You know, pick up the phone and dial 911. We can't do anything if you don't call us, and if you call us the next day, it's too late. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Be safe out there. Enjoy your family. Enjoy the holidays. It's going to be 60 degrees. Do you want to play golf that day, Martin?
No, I'm done.
You're done? Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Close.
We're adjourned. Merry Christmas,
Put that in
everybody.
the memo.